back, everyone. We're now live on Facebook, so hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. We will share the show later on. I have with me now Sandy Greenlee, and she is the owner of Angels Cremation and Burial. We just heard your ad, and I just was introducing you to the other guest that was here earlier, and I had asked you how long you've been here and how long you've been doing this, and you want to tell everyone, get right up on the mic there, for everybody to hear you, and how long you've been helping people in this industry.
24 years.
Wow, that's a really long time. And you know what I love about Sandy the most is she's most down to earth. You say it like it is, you know, and you say to people all the time, you know, if you want to spend more money, you can. You can either do it with me or you don't have to. You could learn from me how to you don't have to spend a lot of money for having, funeral costs and all of that, correct?
That's correct. People get to make their own choices. You can choose to pay for whatever you want. And with us, we're an economical mortuary. I've been told a couple of times lately, I'm not very professional. I don't wear suits, and I don't have the door shut for nobody else to walk in, and you don't have the same person waiting on you. That's because we all have our own special traits. We all have our own abilities, and it's what helps us keep our prices down.
Well, I'll tell you something. I thought everybody got a little bit more relaxed these days. I don't think that wearing the suit and tie, and you've said it many, many times before, you don't have the chandeliers,
No,
right?
I do not have
You don't have the
chandeliers.
fluff. So because you don't have the fluff, you don't have to pay them for having that.
That's right. You don't have to pay for fluff if you don't want it. If you want it, there's plenty of mortuaries that will be out there that will be happy to take your money for 3 or 4 times more than we charge. And that's fine, that's the beauty of life, and especially in America, because we get to choose what we want, and we get to have all these options and all these things that make such a big difference, because in some countries you get what you get, but we are blessed to only have what we want.
Now, here's something that you've said, and I've written these things down, because when you say things, and I have it all filled out on this piece of paper here, I love when you say certain things, first of all, the person who passes away, you are making it easier for the ones that are living if you do some of the things that Sandy's going to recommend or talk to you a little bit about. The one thing that you say is that you want that person to have peace throughout their walk towards the end,
That's
correct?
right. That's the most important thing you can have. If you can't have peace walking to the end, then you need to do something different. If that means spend more money, if that means do more, be more, it's strictly up to you. Maybe they're like, my family, and we're very frugal, and we don't want to spend any money that we don't have to unless it's something we want to spend money on. It's your choice, and you should have a choice. And the bad thing about life is we go to school, and we're educated about how to say the ABCs, how to count to 10, how to figure out the square root, and how to figure out the perimeter of a fence, but we are not taught how to do a checkbook. We're not taught how to shop groceries, and we're definitely not taught to talk about death. And so, it's sad to me because people are not educated, and I truly believe when you're educated, you make better choices. When you have answers, you have peace. When you have unanswered questions, you have stress. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I've got way more stress in my life than I need.
And I think everybody can resonate with that right now. One of the other things that you say all the time is that God picks his flowers when he wants to pick them.
That's right. That means that he gets to choose when you go. I mean, I've lost 2 children. They were perfectly healthy. There was nothing wrong with them. God just decided they went home. I've had the next person that has lived forever and a day, and everybody keeps saying, when do I get to go? When do I get to go? When do I get to go? I'm 95 years old, and I'm still healthy, and I'm not healthy, but I'm just laying here in this bed. When do I get to go home? God gets to pick the flowers, and he gets to choose when, and we don't have that option.
Now, one of the things that you come here for is to educate the public on getting ready for this, and something that nobody likes to talk about, but how important does it make your job? Okay, I mean, I think I might have asked you this once or twice before, but your job is pretty hard when it comes to this, and especially when people are so overwhelmed and they're distraught and going through a lot. How much easier is your job when things are done more to like with their I's dotted and their T's crossed?
Well, it's not so much necessarily that it makes my job easier, it makes your job less stressful. because I'm going to still ask you the same questions, I'm going to help you with the same things. But the thing of it is that when you know what somebody wants, you can just go and do it. When you don't know what somebody wants, you're battering in your brain. Now, should I have a service? Where should I bury them? Should I have an urn? Should I scatter them? Should I? Well, if you know what they want, and I can tell you, my mother's funeral was the best example of anything. I mean, literally, I had to corner her. I went home to Wyoming, where she's from. My brothers and I parked around her car so she couldn't leave, and she was going to leave, and we said, no, Mom, today's the day. You're going to make decisions. So we as a family sat around and talked about what Mom wanted. One of her biggest concerns was for nobody to see her. She did not want people gawking at her. And I looked at her and I said, well, too bad, so sad. I'm going to see you. That's just how life is. And so she consented to me being able to see her. And she didn't even want to have a memorial service or anything. And I said, Mom, then why do you always go to funerals if you don't, if you don't believe in him? She said, well, I need to support the family that's left. And I said, oh, so what I'm hearing you say is, it's important to support your friends and your family and their families, but it's not important for your kids to be supported. Is that what I'm hearing you say? And she gasped. And she said, oh, honey, I never even thought about it that way. So my mom consented to having a service because my little brother and I wanted one. My older brother did not want. Well, the only kink my mom threw in the wrench was her flower was picked when she was in Arizona on vacation. And she died at my house. Mm. And so, but everything was all decided. We knew exactly what we were going to do. We knew where we were going to do it, how it was going to be done. And because there was a lot of families got to come down to Wyoming, come from Wyoming and Colorado and California to see my mom before she passed, when we took her home to be buried in Wyoming, she had a half-brother who had been really, really sick and was unable to come down. And I looked at him and I said, Roy, I think Mom would understand if you want to say goodbye. He looked at me and he says, no, your mother said this is how it's going to be, and that's how it's going to be. But, everything was planned, and it was probably the easiest funeral, memorial, everything from start to finish that I've ever gone through in my life. And I've literally buried like 15 or 20 family members, and I'm not exaggerating. I can give you a name and date and time if you want me to.
So I'll tell you something, though, excuse me. The thing is that I think a lot of times parents might say, I don't want that, or they may just think that the children, they were saving their children money. Oh, I don't want to do that because they don't need to spend the money on that. Yet the children might definitely want to have done that. And that's why having this conversation is so, so, so important. And not only that, to sit down and decide what it is that you want, but be prepared, God forbid, if something happens suddenly. Now what do? If you don't want to have to be hanging out, and you said this before, in her cooler for 15 days, there's also things you need. What's the number one piece of paper?
An authorized, notarized
Notarized, that's a word.
authorization if you want to be cremated. Get the paper, get it notarized, it's black and white, it's done. Otherwise, if you have siblings that are, or children that are, have written you off, have not any contact, it does not matter. You still are the legal next of kin. You still have to sign the paperwork. If you have that done yourself, nobody can make a decision for you. It's signed, sealed, and delivered.
Yeah, and so even if you have something that's old and it's been done a long time ago, dust them off, bring them out, make sure that they're notarized. That is the most important thing. Today in this world that we live in, you got to prove who you are. That's just the way it is. So we're going to go to a break, and we're going to come back and talk further about some of the different things that obviously makes you different. And I also want to talk about cremation because a lot of people think, you know what? But there's things that are very good about it, and we want to talk a bit about that. You want to call them. Their phone number direct is 480-962-6435, which is 96 Angel. So it's 480-962-6435. The website is angelscremationandburial.com. Hang tight, we're going to be back in just a minute. We're still on live here in the room, okay? So I want to talk a little bit about cremation because a lot of people now are going towards that.
75 to 80%. In the West.
Because
in
the money.
In the East, it's still burial.
I don't think I'd wanna be buried here, I'll tell you why. I'm gonna shrivel up like you can't believe. I already am, you know?
Sorry, you keep laying something less than hot on top of the ground. right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and people use land as an excuse that there's not enough land. There's plenty of land. The bottom line is, it's dollars and cents.
Yeah.
Funeral homes have actually pushed themselves out of business for burials because they keep wanting more and more and more and more, and people can't afford it. And so people are going to cremation now because it is so much less expensive.
I know, I think that
And
is
it's
something I
so
wanna
easy.
talk about. I mean, there are some people who have religious aspects of that, that's
They're
different.
getting fewer and fewer.
Fewer and fewer because of the money.
The only ones that I know of are the Muslims that do not bury, that do not cremate.
Cremate.
I mean, Catholics cremate and LDS cremate, and they were the last two to go of religions that I'm aware of. I'm not saying there's not other religions, but the ones that I'm aware of, they are the last ones to go.
Yeah, well, hey, I think that it is all about the money, it just is.
I just sent a guy to Iraq, and I don't want to say this on the news, but I promise you I can have proof of $5,200 just to ship him there. Yeah, that was from when I put him on the plane in Phoenix until he lands on the plane in Iraq. $5,200. That doesn't pay for services, that doesn't pay for anything else, just for being very good.
Personally, I think that,
Airport to
I don't want I don't have that much to leave, you know? So, I mean, why would I want you to spend it on that? I don't need it, I don't
All I
want it.
know is there must be a wealthy family, because I couldn't do it, and I consider myself okay.
Yes, I'm still, but, you know, the people that are the wealthy, there's some people that are just, you know,
Well, yeah, they can be Elvis Presley and be buried in his
there are those
Cadillac.
people, and that's what they want, that's fine.
They can do it, and it's okay. And we're not the mortuary for those people, because we are a small mortuary. I mean, just like the lady said to me, Tony said, excuse me, and the lady said, oh, that's fine. And I said, I'm sorry for her interrupting, but she needed to get her, or get somebody else, and she said, yeah, I think somebody told me it was a lot cheaper if I let somebody interrupt.
Oh, that's funny. What's your necklace right there?
It's Gia, it's
Yeah,
my water.
I have mine.
Yeah.
I keep mine in my, cause I don't want it to show, so I just put it right here in my bra.
I keep it on my
I
neck.
wear it
all
at
the-
night though.
I keep it at neck all the time. I don't ever
Yeah.
take it off.
Yeah,
Well, he's
yeah.
saying it's time to go.
That's my friend Kenzie, been on the show
Kenzie.
for years.
Yes.
She's still, her mom just passed in New York.
Oh,
In
did
New York,
she?
She did. Mhm.
I knew she was really
Yeah.
concerned about her quite a while ago.
Yes. I'm telling you, since you know her.
Yes.
Let's see. So welcome back, everyone. You know, we've been talking during the break to Facebook Land, and I do like to do that here. That's what makes some of these longer ones different too. And we were talking about cremation, and I had asked, I said, you must see a lot more cremations today than ever. And what did you say, Sandy?
Yeah, we have about 70 to 80% in the West. In the East, they still do a lot of burials. And, you know, people say it's about land. Honestly and truthfully, there's plenty of land. It's more about money. It's about being transient. I mean, my son died 34 years ago, and at the time, cremation was not even an option. And we were planning to go back home to Wyoming. This was not this was just a stop and drop place. We were not staying here. And so we buried my son in Wyoming because we felt like that's where we were going to be. And for some people, that would be a real problem. It's not a problem for me, but had I had the option of cremating him, I probably would have cremated him. And it's a personal issue. A lot of people say it's religious beliefs. Actually, there's not very many religions that do not believe in cremation anymore. The only one that I'm aware of is Muslims, and I'm not saying there's not others, so please don't badmouth me. That is the only one that I'm aware of that still does not cremate. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints cremates, Catholics cremate,
I mean,
and they're the
doesn't
ones,
matter.
they were two of the last ones to really accept cremation. And literally, cremation is nothing more than an expediation of what happens to the physical body when it is buried over time.
That's the first time I've ever heard you say that. And that is the best way I've ever heard that explained.
And, well, you know, and the most important thing to me is to educate people. Let them make their own choices, but give them options.
Right.
Let them make that decision. I mean, I had a lady and she wanted 20 death certificates, and I looked at her like, 20 death certificates? I said, I don't want to argue with you, I just want to make sure that you're educated so that you know what you need them for. She ended up buying 3. That's $60 compared to $400.
Cause they
Now-
charge you for them,
Yes.
after like what, 3 or 4 of them or
Oh,
something like that.
no, honey, you pay for them from number one,
Oh,
they're
for number,
$20 each.
so $20 each, and she wanted 60, she got that down to 3.
No, she wanted 20,
Oh, I'm sorry,
which would be.
$60, okay, yeah.
And so, and she bought 3, which was $60. And so the thing of it is, if you're not educated, you spend money that you don't know you need to spend.
Mhm.
And let me tell you, $20 for a piece of paper in my drawer is not whatever I want my $20 to be.
See, I
Because
love her.
I can turn a $20 bill into a death certificate, but I have not yet figured out how to turn a death certificate into a $20 bill.
I will tell you, I just love the way that you are so real. One of the other things that you have said and talked about, when somebody came to you and said, my mom's gonna want this beautiful casket. I mean, this gorgeous casket, and it's gonna cost like, let's say $20,000. I'm just saying, I don't know,
Yeah.
remember what the number was, but it was not cheap. Okay, they're not cheap, folks. And what did you say? I love this.
I said, how much do you want to pay per hour to look at the casket?
Right.
Now, if you buy a casket for $1,000 and you have a service for 2 hours, you're paying $500 an hour. If you have a service for 2 hours and you have a casket for $5,000, you're paying what? $2,500 an hour? If you have that kind of money and you really want it that badly for your loved one, be my guest. I'm happy to sell it to you. But I'm the one that says, I'm here to educate you, help you to keep your money in your pocket if that's what you want. And I tell people all the time, I'm not here to argue with you. I just want to make sure that you understand and you have an education so that you can make the best choice for you.
The phone number to call, it's 480-962-6435. That's 96 Angels, so 480-962-6435. Check her out on her website. It's angelscremationandburial.com. Honestly, I think what I also love about you is the education part of what you try and do, but also you are there for your families. You don't just do what you need to do and then it's over. You literally are with them for years even afterwards, because you send them, cards and how are they doing? I mean, honestly, I don't know anyone that would do that.
Well, we send out a card every 3 months, and then we also send out a Christmas letter with a Christmas card. And, no, it's not a Christmas card, it's a Christmas letter with a Christmas message about your loved one. And, to me, it's just treating other people the way you want to be treated. I know when my son was in the hospital and they sent me a letter, and I was so touched that they would send me a note, because my son died in the hospital, that they sent me notes for probably 6 months, making sure I was okay and did I need anything and was everything okay. And so when I opened the mortuary, I wanted to do that same thing. My parents have raised me to do what you want to have done to you, treat others the way you want to be treated. And so I truly try to put that into heart. I'm not perfect. I don't make everything perfect for everybody else because I don't know what you want. And sometimes I don't even think you know what you want until you figure out what you don't want.
Well,
But
when you
those
get
are-
educated, you may realize what you wanted is not what you want.
That's true. That's very true. And so, I love my families. And somebody said to me one day, how do you do that every day and not cry? And I said, I can cry with anybody. And true, just so you know, I believe that we cried because we love. And if we did not love, we probably would not cry.
Mm.
And so if you catch me in tears, I'm not embarrassed anymore. I used to be. I don't apologize anymore because I'm not sorry that I love people. I may not know you, but I know your situation. Not that I've walked in your shoes, but I've walked a path of a lot of death, a lot of fighting, a lot of struggles. And I love people, I care about them, and I want to do what I can to make their path a little easier to walk.
And I'll tell you something, if you're looking for somebody who's gonna help you do this, that's gonna be the inevitable, it's gonna happen.
Yes.
But doing it so that it is cost effective for you and for your loved ones, she's the person to talk to. That is for sure, for sure. Again, what I love about you the most is how real you are and how you are wanting to make it affordable for people, you know. I mean, obviously, if they want to do what they want to do, but you're going to sit there and tell them, hey, listen, you have a choice here. You can either do it this way or this way. But the other thing that you also want to do is talk about getting ready. Being ready is probably the bigger thing more than anything.
It is, because people come in, I don't think there's ever been a week in my life when there's not been at least 3 or 4 people come in and say, if I only knew, or had I known this, or had I known that, or why didn't somebody tell me that I had to have this paper notarized? I'm here to tell you, if you want to be cremated, have your paperwork notarized. I don't care what the lawyer says, I don't care what the social worker says, I don't care what the Attorney General's website says that you can notarize it or you can witness it. I'm not gonna accept a witness because I don't know if that person signed it because they're your best friend, or they signed it because they really were this strange person that was just trying to help you out. And if they signed it before they died or they signed it after they died. Because let me tell you, I've gotten power of attorneys that have been witnessed that have been dated after the person was dead. I haven't figured out how you do that yet. So my words to you is, get it notarized. The Attorney General's website has got the most perfect, wonderful power of attorney you'll ever find. It talks about DNRs, it talks about life support, not life support, about donations. It talks about whether you want a feeding tube. It talks about who you want to be in charge of your life. And it talks about cremation, burial, donation, letting that person make the decision. It's a whole matter of downloading it, signing it, and Xing where you want it to be Xed, and getting it notarized. If you can't afford a notary, bring it to my office. I'll notarize it for free. I don't care if you're going to another mortuary. I will still notarize it for free because it's important enough to me for people. I can't serve everybody in the world. I can only serve those that God sends to me, and I'm there to help them. So that notarization, I don't care if it gives you a choice. Have it notarized. Don't believe anybody. Have it notarized.
Her phone number is 480-962-6435. The website is angelscremationandburial.com. Anybody who has even put the paperwork together, and it's a while back, dust it off.
Look at it, make sure that it says notarized, whether you want to be buried or cremated or given to science or not given to science. Whatever you want to do, make sure you let it be known, because it's the greatest gift you can give to your family or your friends. And if you don't like them, don't do it.
I think the best thing too, though, is to make sure that what you're doing, realize what you're doing is giving your family love. Because,
Amen.
yeah, because let me tell you something, folks, and everybody who's had parents pass away knows what this is like, because now, once they're gone, that's when the fighting really starts. It's really nice, right? And so what you're really doing is you're helping that family your family through the toughest part of their life, and making that road easier, not just on you, but on them as well. And then they have nothing to fight over because it's written down, it's notarized, it ain't changing.
That's right, and I can tell you, I had a family a couple months ago, and one of the daughters said blah 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 blah. That wasn't what mother wanted, and she took it to court. And the lawyer or the judge said, she said right here, it's pretty black and white. She wants to be cremated. End of discussion. She can be cremated. But it put everybody in a tither because we had to hold the body for a month, and it ended up costing another probably $1,000, $1,500.
So it costs money to have your body hang out in their refrigerator, so please don't do that.
After 21 days.
Especially after 21 days, but still, who wants it? I'm not going in there, I'm not, if I can help it. But honestly, folks, then again, we're talking about saving money. Let's get all this done and done right beforehand so you don't have to spend that kind of money. Again, their phone number is 480-962-6435. It's Angels Cremation and Burial.com. That's 480-962-6435, which is 96 Angel.